Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review Blog. I am your book reviewer, and today we're going to review the book The Reagan Diaries, written by Ronald Reagan, former president. And this book was published posthumously, which means after he died. And what it is mainly is his diary writings while he was president. That's kind of self-explanatory. He kept a diary that started on January 20th, 1981, when he was elected president, and finished January 20th, 1989, when he eventually left office. So I found it very interesting. And some of his entries are longer than others. Some of them are like really short, but he wrote every day. But like when I say that, he stresses every day, but it's like some weekends he'll I don't know, if like a weekend fell between March 4th and March 7th, it would be like Thursday, May 4th, then it would spent a lot of time on vacation, or spent a lot of, because he went to Camp David a lot. He went back to his hometown in California a lot. And when he went there, instead of he would say what he did every day, but it would be in like a block of time, which mostly was went riding, because he liked to go horseback riding. Did, homework is what he called when he did kind of office work. But other than that, they were like day by day by day things. And one of the things that I have to say about it is that because I was a child of the 80s, I was born in the 80s, and so I don't really remember Ronald Reagan as a president in that time. But which is why I wanted to read the book, to see what he was, because when it comes to Ronald Reagan, you either love him or you hate him, that type of thing. And there's no kind of gray area with that. And I just wanted to see what he did in his perspective that either made people love him or hate him. So, however, with that in mind, you kind of need to know what's going on in that time period, because he doesn't really go into much detail about it. And I'll give you kind of examples. He, of course, talked about, he talked about his issue with Mikhail Gorbachev, with the wall coming down, and with the whole, again, with the USSR. But in case you didn't know that, before study what was going on, you wouldn't know what's going on. And another thing is kind of his Star Wars thing, where he wanted to launch rockets into space. And again, you need to know that was what was going on in the 80s, before you read this book, or unless to get the full effect of it. And there's a lot of other ones like that, with different, dealing with unions and just things like that. So I'm going to show you a couple things, or I'm going to read you an excerpt from it, just to kind of do a little bit of what he wrote. The excerpt that I chose was on March 30th, 1981, which was when he was not assassinated, but an assassination attempt was put on him. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It says, Monday, March 30th. My day to address the Building and Construction Trade National Conference, AFL-CIO, at the Hilton Ballroom, 2 p.m., was all dressed up to go, and for some reason that at the last minute took off my really good wristwatch and wore an older one. Speech not riotously received, still it was successful. Left the hotel at the usual side entrance and headed for the car. Suddenly there was a burst of gunfire from the left. SS agents pushed me down onto the floor, and the car of the car and jumped on top. I felt a blow in my upper back that was unbelievably painful. I was sure he'd broken my rib. The car took off. I sat up on the edge of the seat, almost paralyzed by pain. Then I began coughing up blood, which made both of us think, yes, I had a broken rib, and it had punctured a lung. He switched orders from White House to George Washington University Hospital. By the time we arrived, I was having great trouble getting enough air. We did not know that Tim McCarthy had been shot in the chest, Jim Brady in the head, and policeman Tom DeHamty in the neck. I walked into the emergency room and was hoisted onto a cart where I was stripped of my clothes. It was then we learned I'd been shot and had a bullet in my lung. Getting shot hurts. Still, my fear was growing because no matter how hard I tried to breathe, it seemed like I was getting less and less air. I focused on the tiled ceiling and prayed. But I realized I couldn't ask for God's help, while at the same time I felt hatred for the mixed-up young man who had shot me. Isn't that the meaning of the lost sheep? We are all God's children and therefore equally beloved by Him. I began to pray for his soul and that he would find his way back to the fold. I opened my eyes once to find Nancy there. I pray I'll never face a day when she isn't there. Of all the ways God has blessed me, giving her to me is the greatest and beyond anything I can ever hope to deserve. All the kids arrived and the hours ran together in a blur during which I was operated on. I knew it's going to be a long recovery, but there has been such an outpouring of love from all over. The days of therapy, transfusion, intravenous, etc. have gone by. Now it is Saturday, April 11th, and this morning I left the hospital and am here at the White House with Nancy and Patty. The treatment, the warmth, and the skill of those at George has been magnificent. But it's great to be here at home. Whatever happens now, I owe my life to God and will try to serve Him in every way I can. So actually, that was an example of that just counteracted what I just said of him writing every day. Apparently, he didn't have his diary at the hospital, which I guess makes sense. But still, that gives an example of how he wrote, and one of the things that I really liked about this is a couple of things. One of the things is that, like, kind of with every nonfiction or biography that you're going to read or autobiography, there are pictures, which there's a couple of him, and there's a lot of them with him and Nancy, and which was going to be my other point. Here's one. Here's one of my favorites of him and Nancy, with them and the Christmas tree with their couple of dogs. Yeah, his love for Nancy in this book cannot be stressed, really. He had a really big love for his wife, which was good, and every time that she was gone, doing her kind of Just Say No campaign and other things that a first lady has to do, he really missed her. He always kind of called her Mama when she was gone, like, I'm sitting alone at the White House, waiting for Mama to come home, and missing Mama, and things like that. So, that's it. Again, if you liked Ronald Reagan or wanted to know more about what happened during his presidency, I recommend it. Again, just stress that you kind of need to know a little bit about what went on in that time, because he doesn't go into it very much. The next book I'm going to read is the book Desperation by Stephen King. So I bid you all a happy day and happy reading.